Hi. So the body responsible for conducting elections, the IEBC, recently concluded clearing people to vie for different political seats. And it ended in premium tears, bitterness, and resentment.
Anyone have a light? Yeah, this voice, maybe we need another voice.
The 2022 general elections are coming soon, and in this video we are looking at why people join politics and why do they stay in politics, because there are so many new people who are getting into this political space in this election. My name is Susan Wanjiko. I'm the founder of wanjikuseyeke, and here I discuss the relationship between economic development and governance so that you can understand, engage, and influence the matters that affect you and I. Welcome to wanjikuseyeke. Welcome to the third part of this special edition series dubbed The Real Mheshimiwa, where I'm specifically addressing the voters. Now, there's a common assumption that anyone who is in government or is in a political office has the best interest of the public at heart and will make decisions that are good for everyone in the country in general. But history has shown us time and again that we should approach governments with some skepticism and be open-minded that everything may not be what it seems to be. So why do people get into politics? What would be their motive for joining politics? And I've placed politicians and aspiring politicians into 5 categories. And the first category is the hopefuls or revolutionaries. Now, these are the guys who genuinely believe and want to bring actual change into their communities or their country, regardless of the position that they are vying for. So these guys are unhappy with the status quo, they're disappointed and dissatisfied with their leaders, and they genuinely feel like they can make an actual change and do better for their communities. Now, in the Kenyan context, because of the nature of our politics, we have very few people in this category. And in fact, the irony is that people who are actually capable of bringing change into this country don't get into politics because of how our political institutions are set up. And remember, by political institutions, I don't just mean the behavior of the politicians that has become acceptable over time. It also means the mindset of the people who you want to elect you. Their mindset matters, because if people believe in kitu kidogo na mi sina kakitu, then I might not stand a chance. And one way to identify revolutionaries is by what they've done for their community before choosing to run for political office. So it could be providing solutions at community level, activism work, advocacy, investigative journalism, etc. Basically, you're doing something to help the country without even being in that seat. Second, we have the opportunists, and these guys just ride on the failures of the person who is currently occupying the seat that they want to occupy, or rather what they're vying for. And they take advantage of the fact that people are upset about the current leadership, be it a presidential position, MP, governor, senator, etc. Do they have actual solutions to the failures? Sometimes no, and sometimes yes. But for a fact, they take advantage of people's emotions, and in most instances, you'll also find that they're not radical when it comes to some issues like corruption. Yani wako tu. Then good thing, most times these guys are not even involved in mega corruption scandals. They're just there. These are the ones who most likely won't engage in debates in parliament also. And I think many politicians in Kenya fall into this category. And they're also dangerous for Kenya because, I mean, if you don't take a particular stand on a particular matter, you can easily be bribed to vote for laws which are not in the interest of the public. Let's say like if you're an MP or you're an MCA. Then we have the third category, the exploiters. These guys know that venturing into politics is an investment. So they get into politics knowing that they're going to mint money from tenders or supplying air to the government or frustrating people who do business with the government by demanding a cut. And they also know that they can pass laws to favor their businesses or the businesses of their family and friends for as long as they benefit from it. And they also know that they can outright redirect money from public accounts to private accounts. So these guys, they can either sponsor themselves to get into politics or they can be sponsored by someone else. And you can identify these guys by some of the things that they say. For example, casually minimizing voter bribery by saying things like, ukienda campaign, kila mtu anataka kitu kidogo, hiyo pesa mnafikiria itatoka wapi? And that's translated as the voters normally want a bribe when we campaign for elections. So where do you think the money is going to come from? So when they get into power, they recoup their investment. Also, all fraudsters who want to get into politics fall into this category. The Daily Nation recently did an article called Wash Wash Paradise, which was basically saying how Kenya has become a haven for fraudsters across Africa. And not just small fraud. Like, these guys come people with fake or non-existent gold, illegal fake money, drugs and trading weapons. And they're the ones who normally kill each other right, left and center in Kilimani because there's no honor among thieves. So these guys know that if they get into power or if they sponsor someone to get into power, they will have the police and the criminal justice system at their fingertips so that they can benefit from the system without ever being prosecuted. And already they're not being prosecuted. So imagine if they get a hold of the instruments of power. We normally say Kenya is a mafia state, but at that point, you ain't seen nothing yet. Then the fourth category is special purpose vehicles, or basically someone's project or a government project, state project. And these guys are normally a means to an end. Like, I hear people saying that Uhuru didn't want to become president and that he was forced by his family. Whether that's true or false, it doesn't matter. But that's an example of how someone can be used as a means to an end for private interest, which may not always be financial. Another example is Polycarp Igathe in 2017. He was a special purpose vehicle when he was Sonko's running mate, just so that Jubilee can be able to sell the Sonko ticket. Like, Sonko already was questionable, but he was popular on the ground. So what better combination to govern Nairobi than a street smart guy that's Mike Sonko, and a technocrat who's already been in the corporate space, that's Polycarp Igathe as deputy governor. And then another example is the rumor spreading that Wajakoya is a state project being used to split the votes of one of the presidential candidates, particularly the votes of the youth. And disclaimer, I'm not saying whether this is true or whether it's false. I don't know. Then we have the career politicians. These guys are job seekers like the rest of us. Some of them have been in politics forever, and some have been MPs in their constituencies for years. And also you find that sometimes they don't have a particular stance on issues, but they morph into whatever the political situation of that time dictates. If we are pushing a certain agenda like BBI because it seems like the government can override the will of Kenyans, twende kazi. If it looks like the agenda is failing, they switch gears again. And that is actually what has enabled them to become career politicians. Call it inconsistency or consistency in switching gears, and sycophancy. So they get many benefits, get government appointments. They're somehow always around. So guys, there's no hardliner, and most times you'll find that there's an overlap in the reasons for joining politics. Like, sometimes you can find that a career politician is being used as a special purpose vehicle, or an opportunist can be a revolutionary or an exploiter. And I know that I mentioned that as I mentioned these categories, you are able to place some politicians or people who are vying into one or more of these categories. And the fact is that some of them will win. So the point I'm trying to say is that imagine if the motive to join politics is purely out of private interest and not in the interest of the country, then what do you expect the outcome to be? If you want me as Susan to get into elective office, then you can befriend me so that you can get tenders to supply air. What makes you think that other people will not do the same with their friends? And in fact, what even gives you the moral authority to complain about the economy if we've shown that this is acceptable? And leaders and politicians don't come from anywhere else. They come from us, the society. So in conclusion, if you as a person watching this decided to get into politics, reflect and ask yourself, what would your reason be? Also, ask the people around you. In fact, even ask the children, your children and the children around you also. They will give you the most raw and honest examples of the values and the vices that we have instilled in them and the example of the society that we have created for them. Finally, I want to hear from you in the comments, the people you know who are running for different seats. What categories would you place them in? Who came to mind when I mentioned these categories? So if you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. And in my next video, I'll be discussing why politics is a do or die situation in this country. So in short, why is politics dirty? You definitely do not want to miss that. I've put some links in the description box that you can read about some of these things that I've talked about. And remember, all the rights and freedoms that you enjoy today, someone at some point in time in this country fought for. And if you don't fight to keep it, it will be taken away from you. If you don't choose your leaders wisely, they will take away your economic freedoms, your social freedoms, and your political freedoms and rights. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Cheers.